Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Tuesday, December 9, 2025, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The Justice Department, Trump's Justice Department, shockingly, no it's not, rolling back a 50-year-old disparate impact standard. I'll talk to the legal defense funds about this issue and how it's going to make it harder to challenge potential bias in housing, criminal law, employment, environmental regulations, and frankly, anything in the federal area. Texas Governor Greg Abbott plans to expand Turning Point USA youth chapters to every high school across Texas. His explanation is comical. There's a whole bunch of black high schools. That bullshit ain't gonna fly. White racists say not being able to communicate with white folks who speak other languages is the downfall of Western civilization. Did not tell y'all white fear. And a white woman really effed around and found out after a black woman told her, back up. I'm gonna put your ass on your back. And it happened. Plus, Pennsylvania is now the 28th state to pass the Crown Act barring discrimination based on hair texture and race-based hairstyles in work and schools. Conservative radio talk show host Kathy Bennett, she says, this is stupid. Okay, she'll join us. Southwest failed during the 2022 winter storm, stranding thousands of travelers and racking up a $140 million penalty by the administration. Trump said, don't worry about it. Y'all ain't got to pay it. Pennsylvania State Senator and DNC Vice Chair Malcolm Kenyatta will join us. Plus, in tonight's Black Star Network Marketplace segment, a mother-daughter duo turns self-love into a business. We'll talk to a 13-year-old CEO of Beautiful Curly Me. Folks, it's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's some go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
All right, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he wants to expand Turning Point USA youth chapters into every high school across the state. And remember, that's the right-wing racist conservative group
ideas, not just
founded by white supremacist Charlie Kirk. Turning Point's high school arm is called Club America. It's a student-run organization that promotes conservative politics on the campus. Abbott says students need the values that Turning Point can provide.
And make this clear. I went to public schools here in the state of Texas. When I went to Duncanville High School, I was a member of the Fellowship for Christian Athletes. FCA still exists today. You can have religious organizations that focus on those values like that are allowed in our schools. And this is just another more modern example of Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
We're just going to skip over all the racism in Turning Point USA. Now, Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, they are warning school districts that if they try to block the clubs, there will be meaningful disciplinary action. Really? Abbott is also urging Texas to report any school that pushes back to the Texas Education Agency, even though the state isn't actually requiring districts to create these clubs. Patrick is promising $1 million in campaign funds to help expand the program statewide. Okay, really? All right, y'all, I'll pay on Dr. Mustafa Santiago, Ali, former senior advisor for the EPA. He joins us right now out of Washington, D.C. Y'all know I just get a kick. We'll have Scott Bolden in just a moment work out his camera issues. Former head of the National Bar Association, PAC, lawyer here in the nation's capital. Win Cooney, CEO and co-founder of Politicking out of D.C. as well. All right. Glad to have y'all here. I mean, Win Cooney, this is a joke. I mean, these right-wingers are so insane, okay? It's a lot of predominantly black, Hispanic high schools. They don't want this trash on their campus. And for these idiots, this is precisely why I need people in Texas. Y'all have got to maximize the vote. We can throw Abbott ass out of office, Patrick ass out of office, elect Jasmine Crockett to the United States Senate. These right-wing people are utterly insane.
I'm scared, Roland, because they're turning Texas into a breeding ground for conservatism, and they're not trying to even shy away from it or hide it. When you bring in an organization like Turning Point USA or Club America, as they're colloquially calling it for high schoolers, what you're doing is breeding anti-Semitism, white supremacy, anti-LGBTQ plus ideals, and you're putting that into an educational setting. This is something that's pretty unprecedented because usually there is, figuratively speaking, a separation of church and state when it comes to education. But by, Texas symbolizing that they're ready to welcome and embrace us, and in fact, mandating that they're putting these values into the classroom throughout all high schools, I think Governor Abbott is sending an extremely strong message to all the minorities in America, and it's echoing that of President Donald Trump's, is that you're not welcome here, you're not wanted, and we're going to continue to push conservative ideals.
Mustafa, these right-wingers are always talking about the left, and they're trying to indoctrinate our children. That's what these fools are trying to do.
Exactly. I mean, it is Jim Crow 2.0. We've talked about it a number of times on the show. And now you get to see it come to life by these sets of actions that these individuals continue to do. It is about indoctrination. It is about making sure that you, bring forward your privilege and the view that you have for the 21st century. And actually, many of these things, if you go back and look at the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, even the 60s, these same sets of values are what, they're trying to bring back now in 2025 and beyond. So folks have power, but again, it goes back to elections have consequences. So you've seen what happens when you don't vote. You have these types of actions that try and take root. But you also have power by making sure that you actually go cast your ballot for what you want the 21st century to look like.
Yeah, I mean, these folks, they want to control everything. I am always trying to make it clear that this is about power. And what they want to do, they're using their power. They already got PragerU content in the classroom, so that's going on. Again, they want to indoctrinate. That's what they want. They want to force their insane right-wing, white-wing ideology on our children, Win Cooney.
They sure do. Roland, the first time somebody called me the N-word was in middle school, right? And I remember going to the guidance counselor and talking to them about it. And she explained to me that was something that was probably taught in the home. And I think what we see here with Governor Abbott, he's making sure that if it's not already taught in the home, if white supremacy is not already being taught in the home, it's certainly going to be welcome into the schools. And that's a really scary thought. I think education sanctuaries, schools are supposed to be a safe place for children to be able to fellowship, learn new ideals, learn new values. And yet and still we have clubs like Club America popping up not only in Texas, but throughout the United States. I also found it really interesting, Roland, that the governor, in fact, acknowledged that he wouldn't be willing to endorse similar initiatives for more progressive organizations. In fact, he signed Senate Bill 12 that said we're going to ban all student clubs with the LGBTQ plus focus. So what we're really seeing is that they're able to pick and choose which agendas they want to push and which agendas they don't. And so they're not trying to hide it. It's salient at this point. And we have to be really concerned about the future of Texas. I'm excited for the Democratic energy that's coming out of it, but I think the Republicans are trying to stomp out any possibility of success and progress in that state.
Scott Bolden here. Scott, I just think it's a joke that they want to put a turning. We don't have Scott yet? All right, let me know when we have Scott. I just think, look, Turning Point USA has been filled with racists, Mustafa. Charlie Kirk often espouse racist views, and they are endorsing these racists coming on the campuses. And let's be real clear, 61% of Texas is minority. 61%.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you've shared, and others have shared as well, and you wrote a book about it, the Browning of America. Here's the thing, is that this is all about hate. You mentioned that it is about power. And I would just also add to what the other panelists just shared, that what happens in Texas doesn't necessarily stay in Texas, right? A lot of times it's the testing ground, so that they will begin to move this stuff across the rest of the country. So we got to pay particular attention. If you got cancer and you let that cancer to continue to fester, then it is going to metastasize. It's going to move throughout whatever the respective body is. This is just another form of cancer. And we've got to make sure that we are not just treating the cancer, right? The treating the cancer is just by addressing here in this moment. We've got to actually make sure that we are cutting the cancer out of not just Texas, but across our country, because there's no way that this country can ever continue to move forward if it allows this hate to continue to take root, if it allows racism to take root, if it allows misogyny to continue to take root. We have to make a decision. If we are going to actually address these systemic issues that have continued to plague this country, or if we want to actually do something to make it a better place, a more equal place, a place where everyone knows that that they're valued.
Absolutely. All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. Going to a break. We come back. I told y'all Donald Trump and MAGA, they are doing all they can to defund Black America. They are attacking everything that deals with Black America. Now they are attacking anti-discrimination statutes. No shock, because the racists are now in charge. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? Remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion in higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Are you ready for the holidays? This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking about all things anxiety and the holidays, whether it's performance anxiety, presence versus presence, making certain that everybody in your space understands the boundaries and how to respect your home. This week, we're talking about those things that will allow you to have a peaceful holiday season.
It really is not about perfection. It's really about, the house feeling warm and cozy and peaceful.
You don't have to like everybody, but what you can do is be cordial in those environments.
That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie here on Black Star Network.
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Cyrus, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint
because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood show and the Roland Martin show? Well, whatever show it's going to be good.
All right, Trump's Justice Department Civil Rights Division was created in response to the Civil Rights Act of 1957 to uphold the civil and constitutional rights. Well, in a letter released on the 68th anniversary of the division's founding, more than 200 former DOJ employees accused the Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Assistant Attorney General of killing major civil rights cases, including those involving police misconduct, sexual harassment, and voting discrimination. Well, today the department announced it will end long-standing civil rights policies that prevent local governments and organizations receiving federal funding from implementing policies that disproportionately harm people of color. This decision is revising its decades-old disparate impact standards. It'll make it more challenging to address potential biases in housing, criminal law, employment, environmental regulations, and other policy areas. Todd Cox is the Associate Director-Counsel of the Legal Defense Fund. He joins us right now. Todd, glad to have you back on the show. So, I mean, listen, these folks do not give a damn about people of color. They don't care about civil rights, and they are all about whiteness. They are claiming that these laws hurt white people.
That's right. I mean, they're basically turning what we took for granted as civil rights laws and civil rights standards and turning it on its head. They're basically saying if you seek to enforce civil rights, if you seek equality, if you seek to include people of color, you yourself are discriminating. And that's completely opposite of what the law requires. It started with the attacks on DEIA, and which is really an attack on our civil rights standards, the legacy of Brown, the legacy of the Civil Rights Act that you talked about, all of the policies that are designed to make sure that our society is a truly multiracial democracy. And this administration, from the very beginning through its executive orders and other actions, have been trying to undermine that. And today's regulatory change is one more step in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, these folks, they don't care. And we keep saying it to all the people out there who are playing games, sitting on the sidelines, saying, oh, voting ain't no big deal. Oh, we survived Trump before. Okay, so now all of a sudden, if you have some communities out there and then they want to sue, the feds are saying, don't come talk to us. We're going to show y'all the hand.
That's right. I mean, you mentioned it in your opening. They used to be partners in enforcing the civil rights laws, right? Right, with the Legal Defense Fund and other organizations. We had school equity cases, education equity cases. We had voting rights cases. We had cases where we were seeking to make sure that our policing was fair and just. They were partners. Now they're reversing all of that, going backwards, withdrawing all of those consent decrees, dismissing lawsuits that they had filed alongside civil rights organizations like ours. And today's actions against disparate impact is really unprecedented and quite dangerous. And just quickly, disparate impact allows us to identify policies that might not be on their face discriminatory, but are plainly discriminatory in practice, meaning that a law or a practice may not say whites only, but the policy itself, as it's enforced, really has that impact of excluding Black people and other people of color. And the ability for civil rights organizations to go after those kinds of violations has really been important in advancing our civil rights laws and our civil rights regime. And the Department of Justice, as I said before, once was a partner. Now they're going back on that and are basically undermining the very laws that were enshrined in the Civil Rights Act and other civil rights laws in the 60s.
Shortly after the election, I had, Harry Daniels, Ben Crump, and others, and I said, if you have a police abuse case, you don't even need to waste your time even calling the feds.
That's right. I mean, they are no longer, as I said, no longer partners. We have school education cases, education equity cases where they were co-counsel, and now they have turned their back on us. And the same can be said for our voting rights cases, our cases in many other areas where they no longer are active participants and, in fact, are doing the exact opposite. They are beginning to attack organizations, attack law firms, attack anyone that seeks to enforce civil and human rights. In fact, they're actually going out of their way to do the exact opposite of what they have been doing historically. And I think, again, today's impact or attack on disparate impact is one more step, and it's probably one of the more strident and dangerous steps by removing this important tool. Listen, no longer do we have what we call smoking gun evidence of discrimination. Discrimination over the decades now has gone underground. And what we have to do is basically look at how we enforce our practices, the policies we have that can operate in a discriminatory manner, even though on their face it may not look discriminatory. I think about tests for firefighters. We have many consent decrees, many lawsuits have been filed and actually have consent decrees looking at policies on how firefighters are tested. And we found or have been found those discriminatory against women. And those are standard. The Department of Justice used to file those lawsuits themselves. And now not only are they not going to file those lawsuits, they are saying that you are no longer prohibited to receive federal funding if you have policies that seek to enforce disparate impact or seek to comply with disparate impact.
Questions from our panel. Wynn, Coney, what do you have for Todd?
So I'm curious about how we're going to continue to see this happen. So obviously he's gotten rid of it in this particular Department of Justice, but I'm curious as we push into 2026 with the upcoming elections, how do we think this is going to continue to happen in different organizations and agencies in the government?
Well, I think they're going to continue, and they've already started, to try to take what we have, I think, taken for granted as being an important civil rights infrastructure and undermine it. In various departments, they're attacking disparate impact. They're trying to roll back regulations and say you no longer can, enforce civil rights laws. And I think the way they're doing it is quite nefarious. What they did today was to do it without having the usual notice and comment period, which again is a standard practice and legal requirement that before you change a regulation, you are required to have notice and comment. And we've seen them hint at doing it with other agencies to change rules. They did it today. And I think we're going to continue to see them testing whether or not folks push back on that. So we're going to have to keep an eye open. We're going to have to make sure we're monitoring all of these regulatory standards, which they are beginning to try to roll back. And when there are opportunities for comment and push back. When they choose not to comment, we need to speak out and take appropriate legal action if necessary.
Mustafa.
Well, it's good to see you. You know, I've worked on Title VI of the Civil Rights Act for a number of years in the environmental context. I often talk about this around the cycle of cumulative harm. Can you talk a little bit about how this stuff plays out? You know, we often think about a case by case, but how it begins to build over time. Maybe it might help the audience to have a better understanding of what we're losing.
Sure. Well, I can use an example in my own career. I was a voting rights lawyer for a very long time. And while we don't have disparate impact under the Voting Rights Act, we have something called Section 2, which requires that electoral systems operate in a fair manner. And in that situation, the community that I was representing didn't have fair representation. They had an at-large election system, or a system where they were not allowed to elect their candidate of choice. The result of that meant that the jurisdiction invited in a company that polluted. So at the same time we had a Voting Rights Act case, we also were pursuing a Title VI case, environmental justice, as you were alluding to, against this company, all of which would have been abated if our community or the community I represented had representatives really interested in representing their points of views, so that company wouldn't be there polluting their community, in a disparately impactful way. That community was majority Black, and the community or the city council invited this company in, ignoring the interests of Black people. So I think these things are cumulative. I think that these things cut across all of our civil rights regime. And if you start pulling at the tapestry of one piece of it, today it's the Department of Justice, Tomorrow it might be the environmental regulation in the EPA. It's all going to eventually fall apart and really impact our ability as Black people to survive in this country.
Absolutely. Well, Todd, listen, I keep telling people, if you don't vote, then the folks who do vote are going to get the kind of representative government that they desire. And when people,
that's right.
When people start saying, oh my God, where are our civil rights groups? Where are the lawyers? Why are these things happening? It's because these nutcases are in charge, and they're going to be in charge of the executive branch for the next 3 years. And so folks better buckle up, because they are going after and they are attacking anything that advances the interests of African Americans.
That's right. Keep our eyes open and keep vigilant. And remember, our role in the movement at this point is to push back as hard as we can using the rule of law and using our policy arms and policy eyes and all of our tools that we have to make sure that our rights are protected, and make sure that this administration doesn't continue to try to run roughshod over our interests.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, then, Todd, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Folks, we come back. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, she unveils her first campaign promo ad, if you want. And Lord, why are all these people going crazy? Why are all these right-wingers, why are all these white progressives just losing their minds? And I'm like, she can talk about public policy over the next 3 months. Why y'all tripping? We're going to talk about that when we come back. Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars goes to support the show. You want to give to us, Cash App, with the QR code. You see it right here, bottom left-hand corner. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Check some money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 70196. Back in a moment.
If in this country right now you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
It's your boy Earthquake, giving Roland Martin something to do, because he don't know what to do. He from Texas. Ain't his fault.
Last night's show, we showed you live Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett announcing her run for Texas United States Senate. And so, as a part of it, she unveiled this video. Let's roll it.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble. But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person. Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding. Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
So I sat there last night, and Lord, y'all, I watched all of these crazy as folk. All of these people, I watched them just sit here and trash her. And, oh my gosh, she's awful and she's terrible. Oh, why is she running? Oh my God. You know, like what the hell's going on? You know, we've got, you know, all these other people, you know, Colin Allred. I mean, he's the perfect candidate. He lost to Ted Cruz by 960,000 votes. He raised $80 million and he lost by 960,000 votes. I can't even remember the woman who ran against John Cornyn. I don't even know her name. In 2020, she lost by 1.07 million votes. Beto O'Rourke, he ran against Ted Cruz, lost by 2.5 points, 215,000 votes. So I'm confused. In fact, the last time a Democrat won a statewide seat was 1994. That year, Bob Bullock was elected lieutenant governor. Lieutenant governor. Texas comptroller was John Sharp. Dan Morales, attorney general. Gary Morrow, land commissioner. Ever since 1994, ever since then, so the 98 election, no Democrat has won any of Texas's 29 statewide seats. White men have run. White women have run. Latinos have run. Black men have run. You got a sister, and put my name in the hat. She jumps to the race, and then what happens? Well, former Congressman Colin Allred pulls his name out and announces he's running for his old congressional seat. State Rep James Tallarico is still in the race. And so all these people who are yelling, hollering, screaming how awful she is, I got to remind them, if you think Tallarico is a better candidate, we'll see on election day. See, that's what I don't understand, why people are tripping. There's no such thing as an anointed seat. You ought to run for it. I am on record, more than 30 years, my entire career, nobody's entitled to a seat. So, best man, best woman win. But to watch these folk lose their ever-loving mind because she's running, oh my God, she's going to guarantee we lose. I'm sorry. You've lost every statewide election since 1998. The hell y'all talking about? I don't understand what the issue is. And so all they are doing is just mad and upset and all that good stuff. So let me show you some polling data. Okay? This right here, and it clearly says Crockett starts off in a challenging position. She has the highest name recognition of any potential Democratic candidate for the seat, but more voters hold an unfavorable opinion of her than favorable. Her unfavorable is 40. Her favorable is 33. Colin Allred, former Congressman Colin Allred, State Rep James Tallarico, have significantly lower unfavorable ratings. The problem is, don't nobody know him. Look, James Tallarico, never heard of him, 49. Wesley Hunt, Republican, never heard of him, 45. Colin Allred, never heard of him, 21. Y'all, he ran for the U.S. Senate against Ted Cruz just a year ago. So his unheard of was higher than Crockett's, and she didn't run statewide. So then when you go sit here and look at this here now, net favorable, Tallarico's plus 30, Allred is plus 3, Crockett minus 8. A lot of that is because Trump has been targeting her. Nearly half say they will definitely not vote for Jasmine Crockett. Okay. Now, according to this poll, Crockett trails Cornyn 49-41 and Ken Paxton 50-42. Now, what does that mean? You got some work to do. Look at this, what it says here. As of today, Democrats hold an edge on voter enthusiasm for next year. That's really important. Boom, right here. That dynamic is what can make this race more competitive. Ken Paxton is deeply unpopular with Democrats, 81%, very unfavorable. Independents, 50% unfavorable. John Cornyn is unpopular with these votes as well, 56 unfavorable, 41% unfavorable. But they see him better than they do Ken Paxton. So, she's running. Tallarico's running. And so I don't understand why all these people are just losing their minds, acting a fool in this race. I mean, bottom line is you simply do what you got to do. So it really is hilarious watching these people as they whine and complain. Now, here's the deal. Here's some other polls right here. The University of Houston, Texas Southern University poll shows that if it's Paxton versus Crockett, 49-47. Cornyn, 50% 40. Hunt, 50-45. Then all of a sudden, you begin to look at Tallarico. O'Rourke is not going to run, but Tallarico versus Cornyn, 44.5-40, 48-45. And then, so you look at all these, all these different races. You see where all red was here. But the bottom line is this here. You win not by polls, you win by turnout. And so what does Crockett do? Crockett can speak to the interest. And her whole goal is how do you drive black turnout? There are more eligible black voters in Texas than any state in the country. Hispanics are not as all happy with Donald Trump. So those Hispanics are like, that could be a significant deal. But it's been hilarious, Mustafa, to see how Elon Musk has been rigging the algorithm to attack Jasmine Crockett. When they attack you that hard, that means they scared.
That's exactly what it is. They are really scared of her, and they should be. She is incredibly intelligent. She is charismatic. She brings fire. She brings commitment. She knows the issues, right? She knows the issues from the state level and the federal level, but she also understands the bread and butter issues that folks are going through, on a day-to-day basis. And she also understands the weaknesses that exist in the opposition party on the platform that they currently have, which does nothing to support, working class folks, let alone lower wealth folks. So they should be afraid because not only all of those things that I just mentioned, but she can articulate a message in a way that she brings both humor and a cutting wit that is so incredibly necessary to be able to deal with all the attacks that are going to come. And she's a Delta, so that she's going to bring some flavor when she goes through the next set of months to win, the nomination.
When Cornyn was really interesting is a lot of these same, crazed, deranged white progressives, many of them can act just like white conservatives. So we already know what the operative word there is, and that's white. But they were really upset because she went on Laura Coates' show last night on CNN, and she was talking about who do you reach out to and how do you reach them. And so a lot of them are mad because Crockett said, listen, I ain't about to sit here and reach out to Republicans. Oh, my God, how dare she? What Crockett was saying is, I got to hit my base first. If I don't get my base, it don't matter reaching out to them.
Also, Roland, the Republicans had continued to denigrate this woman. I think Mustafa hit it on the head. There's nothing America hates more and is more fearful of than a brilliant, confident black woman. And I think if and hopefully when, Congresswoman Crockett is elected, she will reach across the aisle. She will play ball. She will, support bipartisan bills, as she's shown that she has in Congress. However, she's going to stand on the side of righteousness and what she thinks is right and what she believes is advantageous for her people. And that used to be her congressional district, and hopefully it will be the entirety of the state of Texas. But I think what a lot of people are scared of in terms of this political advertisement is you see someone that is dynamic, you see someone that is not afraid to back down to President Trump. I honestly look at Congresswoman Crockett as the answer to what we're seeing President Trump breed in office. A lot of folks have told me, she's too bombastic, she's too this, she's too that. We had, different commentators commenting on this and that in her style. At the end of the day, Jasmine Crockett has garnered attention for the state of Texas. She's continued to make Black people the focal point of her career, first as a civil rights attorney, now as a congresswoman, and hopefully as a senator. So I think we need to continue to watch her trajectory. I do think Donald Trump is right on one thing. She is a star of the Democratic Party, and I think we'll be seeing so in 2026.
One of the things that they've been trying to hit her on is she going to denounce AIPAC. Mustafa, she ain't never took no AIPAC money. And I'm like, she'll need to address that. What's the issue happening right now? Affordability, tariffs, the economy. So my whole deal is, don't fall for that okie doke. That's somebody else's issue. What she should be fixated on, again, is what is she going to do for Texas voters?
Exactly. Whenever you get that light bill, she should, she's going to talk about that the prices need to go down instead of going up. When you go in the grocery store and now you look and you see something that used to cost $100 when you were walking out, now costing $300, she should focus on that. She should focus on the fact that your jobs no longer exist because they got shipped out or they got broken down because of the tariffs. That's what people care about. That's what Black folks care about. That's what Latino folks care about. That's what white folks care about. And she should be focusing on those bread and butter issues.
Absolutely. For a while. You know what? I'm going to talk about some other stuff here, but I want to bring in now Pennsylvania elected official Malcolm Kenyatta, vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. He joins us right now. So Malcolm, here's the whole deal. And I'm not asking. So if you can endorse, I understand it. If you are endorsing, just let us know. But what's amazing to me, and I get it, people got opinion, but I had to smack some people yesterday. I saw fools in Maryland, Long Island. Oh my God, this is awful for Texas. I'm like, y'all ass ain't even from here. I saw this one dude from New Zealand weighing in. I'm like, what the hell do you know about Texas voters? This is why people need to be very concerned with when y'all see folk talking about an election. First check to see where they from, because all the people who are trashing Crockett said how awful she's going to be for Texas. I'm like, you can't even vote. I told one person, I said, let's do a test. Can you tell me how many counties are there in the state? I'll wait.
So you know this, as vice chair of the Democratic Party, we don't endorse in primaries, but I will say what I said online, yesterday. Primaries are good things, and we need to be a party that embraces it. When we embrace the primary process, what we're doing is we're embracing democracy. We are embracing the need for candidates to, have the tires kicked and to frankly build out the infrastructure, volunteers, message, resources to go on and win in the November election. And what you're seeing with Congresswoman Crockett is somebody who has stood up to this administration. What you're seeing in James Tallarico is somebody who's been outspoken against what this administration has done, for Texas. And both of their voices are voices that we need more of in this party, not less of. And let me be clear on this. I have zero time for people who spend all of their energy attacking other Democrats when we should be attacking the guy in the White House who spends every single day making people's lives miserable and destroying the lives of people in Texas and all across this country. And so, listen, I'm confident that the voters of Texas, Democratic voters of Texas, they know who they want their next senator to be. And Jasmine and James will go out and they will make that case to the people of Texas. And then I know that the DNC is going to do everything we can to make sure whoever the Democratic nominee is becomes the next senator of Texas. I've spent a lot of time in.
Is Malcolm still there?
But Malcolm Kenyatta has spent a lot of time in the South because the DNC understands that if we're going to win moving forward, it's going to be critical for us to, stop taking the South for granted.
See, here's what you just nailed there. I'm going to go back to 2012. So we're waiting in the wings to go on CNN. Obama beats Romney. And I'm standing there with then Congressman Chris Van Hollen, who was then head of the DCCC. He's now Senator Van Hollen of Maryland. And I say to him, hey, when are y'all going to take Georgia and Texas seriously and make a massive investment to organize and mobilize the state? Oh, he tells me, Georgia and Texas are red. I said, no, they're not red. I said, they're red because you don't invest. They're red because you're not building an infrastructure. I said, you can't build an infrastructure based upon the upcoming election. It's what are you doing in the off years? Howard Dean, when he was the DNC chair, talked about a 50-state strategy. So people like Paul Begalia, James Carville, Rahm Emanuel were criticizing him, and his whole deal was we cannot be a national party if we're only focusing on national elections, presidential and U.S. Senate and congressional races. He was like, that's not going to cut it. And so one of the things that we have seen is that when a lot of these states, Tennessee, Florida, and others, you had so many people running who simply, that they didn't even they ran unopposed. And so one of the things that Crockett has said, the reason she said she was trying to recruit other candidates, she's like, hey, if Greg Abbott has an $80 million war chest, Greg Abbott needs a serious challenger. So he's running his money against that person and then not using his money in her race and in other statewide races. And so what I've long said is that what rich Democratic donors on the Democratic side have not done is that they have not played the long game. They played the short game. They haven't invested in Texas. Louisiana, 1/3 black. We see what... No real investment, no organizing, no mobilization. You see under Ken Martin, I see what's happening with the money y'all are investing in Mississippi. We start talking about North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and other places. Florida has been a mess the last 2 or 3 election cycles because Democrats pretty much abandoned the state. You're guaranteed to lose if you don't compete.
You are like singing from my favorite gospel here. And I would take this a step further. We talked about the 50-state strategy. I would take this a step further. In this country, we have 3,143 counties all across this country. In 2024, there were 20,000 uncontested races across those 3,143 counties. Of the 20,000 uncontested races, 80% of those races were uncontested by a Republican. 80%. Only 20% were uncontested by Democrats. So what does that mean? From a pure geographical perspective, the only people talking about Democrats from a candidate perspective are Republicans because there are no Democrats who are running in those races. And so for us to win, for us to be in a position where we're moving this country in a direction where we're not just fighting this administration every day, but actually moving this country in a direction where we're making people's lives better, when folks can enjoy their lives. What an idea that people can actually enjoy their damn lives, that people can send their kids to school knowing that they're going to be safe, where people can retire with dignity and decency. The only way you get that is if you build a broad-based movement. And that requires us to invest and take seriously the candidates who are running up and down the ballot. Jasmine and James are both good friends of mine, and I know they won't begrudge me for what I'm about to say next. But for a lot of people who are spending all this time talking about a race in Texas, as important as it is, there are school board candidates who live in your neighborhood, who need your support, who need your investment right now, who need your, your volunteer time. There are candidates running for mayor and city council who are going to be running for state representative and state senate next year who need your support. And so we have to, juggle multiple things at a time, but we can't spend all of our time as a party saying, well, who's the next president going to be and who are, the 100 senators going to be? It is important, clearly, who the president is. It is important who those 100 senators are. It is important to who those members are of the House of Representatives. But if we are going to win and actually deliver lowered costs for people, actually deliver that life that I'm talking about that people deserve to live, then that is going to take us running candidates everywhere. And that is what this new DNC is going to be laser focused on. And I'm so happy you mentioned those investments, Ken Martin is making, because, Ken is getting a lot of crap for making those investments, for increasing our investments into our state parties from what was 8% to now what is 24% of the DNC's budget. A lot of folks don't like that, but we understand that if we're going to win, it's not going to be won in D.C. We're going to win by investing in what people are doing on the ground where they live.
The story we want to talk about, I think this is a perfect example. It deals with Southwest Airlines. The Biden administration slaps them with a $140 million fine. Trump wipes that fine out. Okay, so that happens. Then we start talking about how he's letting all these con men out, Ponzi schemers as well, people who screwed over, teachers and firefighters and veterans and things along those lines. And my whole deal is, these are the people. If I'm in the DNC, I'm going and get as many as these people. I want to put their faces out. I want them telling their story about, this person who had a $1.6 billion Ponzi scheme, who Trump let out of prison after only serving a couple of hours. This person stole our life savings. It's having those stories and framing it, because what you have is you have a con man, a corrupt con man who is sitting in the Oval Office and not only letting him out of prison, saying, don't worry about it, you ain't got to pay restitution. And these people are screwed over hardworking Americans.
Roland, the anger that I carry with me on this topic, it knows no ends. The depths of it know no end. Because you talked about it, these pardons that we're seeing, this wiping away of any sort of accountability for these corporations that have screwed people over. It is the core principle of this administration that if you are wealthy and you are willing to fillet Donald Trump, then you can do whatever the hell you want. And we should be very clear about this. When Southwest was screwing over folks, when these airline companies are making people miss graduations, miss their weddings, miss funerals, miss work events, these aren't just Democratic voters. Mm-hmm. These are a lot of Trump voters. And I tweeted this out, but Donald Trump will never, ever, ever put working people, middle-class families over his wealthy donors ever. And so, I really do hope that a lot of people who gave Donald Trump a chance, recognizing, excuse my language on this, Donald Trump does not give a fuck about you. He does not. And, for so long, Donald Trump says, well, if you put this hat on, you're a part of my group. You're not a part of his group because you own his hat. You are another person that Donald Trump believes is a sucker. And he doesn't believe that people who are rich and wealthy have to play by the rules, but he believes that everybody else should, and that everybody else, our only purpose of existing is making money for him and the billionaires that run this administration. And listen, the Biden administration, one of the things that, would frustrate me that got no coverage really was Biden Harris and Kamala Harris and their focus on dealing with junk fees and their focus on making companies that screw you over when you buy a ticket to a football game or to a concert or when you're at the airport, that if they don't do right by you, that they actually have to pay, that the companies have to pay for doing that. And all of those rules, this administration has rolled back. So if you miss your flight 2, 3, 4 times, the airline company under the Biden-Harris administration had to reimburse you They no longer have to do that under this administration. And you see this guy talk about law and order, for years and years and years, but it's laws for all of us and disorder for all of the people who fund his campaigns. And I'm really proud, and I hope that you've seen this on some of our social media. Our team who does a lot of our comms and stuff, they have been doing these short but really intensive little docu-series talking to the very voters that you mentioned. And they just did one that people should see about somebody who was a Trump voter, who was a soybean farmer, and what Donald Trump's tariffs have done to the soybean industry, which is one of the biggest cash crops in this country. And, now, as you know, and I'm sure you've talked about on the show, Donald Trump is giving a $12 billion bailout to farmers because he screwed them over with tariffs. And that bailout will do nothing to deal with the erosion that these folks have seen in their ability to keep their farms operational and to actually run the businesses that they have.
Malcolm, you're a Pennsylvania state lawmaker, and this story here caught my attention. When Pennsylvania became the 28th state to pass the Crown Act, which prohibits discrimination based on hair textures and hairstyles associated with race, ensuring protection for individuals in employment and educational settings. Now, while many celebrated when Governor Josh Shapiro signed the bill, conservative talk radio show host Kathy Barnett posted this on social media. Quote, "Black people like these people make it difficult for black people like me. When white people see me, they think they're talking to these black people here. So instead of talking to me about CapEx investments, infrastructure, real estate opportunities, they try talking to me about hair racism. You people are stupid. Focusing on my black hair does not lower my cost of living as a black person or any color person. Focusing on my black hair does not reduce property taxes. Focusing on my black hair does not lower my energy bill. Focusing on my black hair does not improve the innumerable potholes that make driving in Pennsylvania an obstacle course. Focusing on my black hair doesn't lower the cost of college for my children. These white people are laughing at you. If black people weren't so doggone emotional over strategic, we would see how embarrassing this is. The whole world is tired of these faux problems, and their children are exceeding while yours, not mine, are getting left behind." So I'm not sure about children are exceeding, I guess, whatever that means. So Kathy Barnett, radio host, author of Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, Being Black and Conservative in America, joins me now. So Kathy, I'm curious. The thing that you laid out there are black people who've actually lost jobs or who didn't get jobs because someone did not like their hair. Are you concerned about them losing their job?
Roland, thank you so much for having me on. Here's the simple fact. There are 99 problems in the black community.
You're not answering my question.
And hair racism is not one.
No, Kathy. Kathy.
And I will answer it. You cannot tell me how to answer the question.
Kathy, I asked a very simple question.
Your question, and I'm answering your question.
Okay.
There are 99 problems in the black community, and hair racism isn't one of them. And let me put this into perspective for you. In 2022, there were exactly 916 people who filed a complaint regarding so-called hair racism in the state of Pennsylvania. 916 out of a state of roughly 13 million people. That means this issue of quote-unquote hair racism does not impact 100% of us. It doesn't even impact 10% of us. It impacts 0.00007% of us. That is a rounding error. That is nothing but optics. It did not change the structure. No natural changes, no economic changes. But let me tell you.
Wait, Kathy. You just said, hold on, Kathy. You just said economic. Hold on, you said economic. And I'm going to ask you again. Mm-hmm. If an African-American, eminently qualified, applies for a job and is denied a job because someone doesn't like braids or cornrows, does that not negatively impact the economics of that person and their family, yes or no?
I'm sure it does.
Okay.
However,
So Kathy, I'm going to ask you again. Mm-hmm. So when a black woman who seeks a job at the Department of Veteran Affairs in Virginia, resume outstanding, does not get the job because of hair discrimination, she then sues, wins. They had to pay her back pay. That costs taxpayers. Do you think that is wrong?
What I think is when Governor Josh Shapiro signed a bill.
That's not what I asked you. I'm at Kathy. Kathy, I'm asking you specific. Kathy, Kathy, 1 second. Kathy. Kathy, I asked you I'm giving you a specific example of something that actually happened. So are you, Kathy, 1 second. Kathy, no, that's not what I asked you. Kathy, what I asked you. Kathy, what I asked you. Kathy, as a taxpayer, does it offend you?
No,
Kathy, allow me to finish. Kathy, allow me to finish. Kathy, does it offend you as a taxpayer that you had to spend, they had to spend taxpayer money to pay off a settlement because a white person did not like this black woman's hair when she had the degrees, she had the expertise, she had the knowledge? So I'm simply saying, are you offended that you had to spend money because this white person didn't like her hair but did not look at her qualifications and she was eminently qualified? Are you not bothered by that?
What I am bothered by, Roland, is the tax dollars that I pay that allows the District of Philadelphia School District to.
Okay, you're not answering my question. See, again, you're not, Kathy. You can't. Hold on. Kathy, you are more than happy.
Long enough to know
Kathy,
that these are not black and white issues.
Kathy,
District of Philadelphia.
Kathy, whoa, no, Kathy. This is my show. Kathy, this is my show. You are more than Kathy. Kathy, if I'm at. Kathy, no. I asked you a specific question about an EEO. No. Kathy, I asked you a specific question about an EEOC, Kathy, listen. I asked you a specific question about an EEOC case out of Virginia, and you're bringing up the city of Philadelphia and schools.
I will answer the question.
Those two don't go together.
I will answer the question.
Thank you.
You asked, what am I offended about?
No, I did not. No, I did not.
You asked what
you're wrong.
I'm offended about, and I'm telling
you. No,
you're
wrong. No, that's not what I asked you, Kathy. That's not what I asked you.
Your school district.
Kathy, that's not what I asked you.
Ranked 400.
Kathy, that's not what I asked you.
Out of 499.
Kathy, that's not what I asked you. No, what I asked you, Kathy, listening is a skill set.
Racism is not one.
Kathy, listening is a skill set. And when I specifically asked you, does it offend you? Well, Kathy, I asked you a specific question.
Better, Roland. You should be ashamed of yourself.
No, you should be.
Around
Kathy,
long enough to know
Kathy, you should be ashamed.
Racism
really?
Is not. Look.
Hold up, Kathy.
4 million black people.
Kathy.
Look, you care about black people, right? So allow me to say this. There are 1.4 million black people in the state of Pennsylvania. Hair racism affects 916 of them. What about the other 1.3 million of us who are sending our children to failing schools? The District of Pennsylvania, it ranks at 454th out of 499. That is what I care about.
Kathy's very interesting. Kathy's very interesting. You said, Kathy, you said these black legislators aren't doing their jobs. I'm very curious because I actually said
black legislators.
No. You said these. You said these people. So do you agree, or maybe you don't? Do you have an issue with when the black legislators secured $150 million in grants for black-owned businesses? Do you believe that was a good thing? Because they actually did that.
I think that's a good thing.
Great. Okay, great. No. I'm good. I'm good. Let me ask you a question. Do you agree, Kathy? Let me ask you agree.
Yes.
Kathy, do you agree? Do you agree that the $300 million that they obtained for anti-violence programs in our communities, that's a good thing?
I don't know. I don't know what is actually being spent on.
Well, according to the data, Kathy, according to the data, it resulted in a 40% reduction in violent crime in Philadelphia.
I don't know, because in the state of Pennsylvania, because I live here, we have over 100,000 violent crimes every single year.
Got it.
We also have fentanyl is exploding on our streets because Democrats open up our borders,
got it.
flooded and illegal.
I'm curious. I'm curious.
Illegals
Kathy,
are replacing
Kathy, I'm
black
curious.
people. Did you know that?
Kathy, I'm
Did you know
curious.
that, Roland?
Does Pennsylvania,
Illegals are replacing black people?
Kathy, I've seen a map. Does Pennsylvania share a border with Mexico?
Oh my goodness, Roland, you are not. You know what? Your premise.
No. You literally just said, you literally talking about fentanyl coming across the border. You said into our state. Where is it coming from? Kathy, where's the fentanyl? Kathy, where's the
planes and buses and sent them into our communities?
Oh,
now,
gotcha.
Don't act stupid.
Kathy, I'm gonna ask you this here. Kathy, I'm gonna ask you this here. You also, do you give the black legislators credit for securing?
And why do you keep saying black legislators? Because it's not just black legislators.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Please pull up Kathy's tweet. 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 Kathy, Kathy, in your tweet. Kathy, in your tweet.
Back there, grinning
Kathy, in your tweet. Kathy, in your tweet.
Yes.
Kathy, in your tweet. This is what you said. It's right here. You said black people like these people make it difficult for black people like me. So you clearly were talking only about the black people in the video, not anybody else.
I was talking about, and then I also threw in there the white people who are like.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You said, Kathy, 1 second. Kathy, that's a nice try, Kathy.
Stop it, Roland.
Kathy, you said, quote, Kathy, hold up, Kathy. I'm reading your tweet. You said, quote, you said, when white people see me,
is a skill set.
Kathy, you said, when white people see me, they think they're talking to these black people here.
You know what? You can believe whatever you want to believe.
Kathy, I'm reading your tweet.
My tweet is real clear. Black people like you, Roland, who major in racism and victimology.
I'm literally looking at your tweet. You made no mention of anybody white in the photo.
Shapiro gave himself $4 million.
That's hilarious.
To do video TikToks and gave us political trinkets.
Malcolm Kenyatta.
Impact the overwhelming majority.
Malcolm Kenyatta, let me ask you a question. Malcolm Kenyatta, let me ask you a question.
Give me the $4 million.
Malcolm Kenyatta, you are a state representative in Pennsylvania. Yeah. And you were there in the state capitol. You were there advocating, fighting for things. So when you hear someone say, again, I read her tweet, and it's all targeting black people. There was no mention of anybody white. When you hear someone say that, oh, these black people, they are focused on hair racism and nothing else, and she lists all these things, Malcolm, surely y'all are focused on infrastructure. You're focusing on investments. You're focusing on education and housing. So Malcolm, go ahead and give us a sense, Malcolm, of the things that you and other black legislators are working on that Kathy talked about.
Well, let me first say I'm happy to have been a co-sponsor of that legislation, and I am damn proud of Adjoa, who has led this charge across the country, and of Representative Mays and Speaker McClinton, who championed this legislation and got it over the finish line. And that legislation is a part of a whole host of things that we got done this year. That bill, which was passed in bipartisan fashion, is a part of a whole series of bipartisan wins that we got for the great people of Pennsylvania. It included a working families tax credit, which is going to put hundreds of dollars back into the pockets of middle class and working class families that are seeing all of their expenses go through the roof because of the policies of Donald Trump. I know that fentanyl was mentioned, and the issue of fentanyl and substance abuse disorder is something that I know matters to many of us, and I'm sure it matters in a genuine way to the previous speaker. But what I would say is we have Donald Trump, who just last week pardoned one of the world's worst drug dealers who was pushing many of those same drugs into our communities. And we have been at the state level trying to do everything we can to address it. And so what does that look like? It's looked like a renewed investment into behavioral health programs, a renewed investment into drug treatment programs. it has looked like the over $400,000, I believe, that we're at this point in terms of gun violence prevention grants. What it has looked like is investing in education. We've invested in our school districts just in the last two budgets, nearly $1 billion, the single largest investment into K through 12 education in Pennsylvania history. And believe it or not, we've done all of these things while getting Democrats and Republicans to come together. What I have learned is that we do not have to continue to sort of leave who we are at the door. You know, it was mentioned that 900 or so people in Pennsylvania filed a complaint. Well, you know what? There are thousands of other people who didn't file a complaint. And I think one person who is discriminated against simply for existing is one too many. And we can do multiple things at once. We can pass a bill that says you can't discriminate to people based on how their hair grows out of their heads. We can also pass investments for people to start and open small businesses. We can also do the things that I mentioned on education, on tax credits, and on a variety of other things. And so this idea that we can only do one or the other isn't an idea that makes much sense to me. And I've also said that, you know, continuing to put us in a position where we are saying to folks that it's okay if we treat this person or that person differently because it's only this percentage of people, that's wrong. That's not what my faith teaches me. My faith teaches me to care about the least of these, and that's what the priorities of this House majority has been.
Kathy, why you sign off, Kathy? Kathy, I wanted to give you an opportunity to even ask the representative a question or respond to all the things he just talked about. But it looks like Kathy logged off. I guess it was too much. We say bring the funk. I guess it was way too much funk on the show, and she couldn't handle it, or she couldn't just handle all the facts that were laid out. And again, I really would have wanted Kathy to respond to what you just laid out about all those things that were actually in the bill beyond the hair discrimination. I would have loved to hear. I mean, State Senator Vincent Hughes sent me a text, and he said black legislators were the leaders in education fair funding fight, which has driven in 3 years about $2 billion of new money to historically underfunded school districts, largely African American. I would have loved for Kathy to actually respond to that. And so if you're going to sit here and again put the tweet up and say, this is why I did this. See, Malcolm, if you're going to sit here and trash black legislators and then try to come on my show and lie and say, oh, I didn't just talk about them, I was talking about the white ones too, when I know how to read. I used to read 300 books a summer. Black people like these people make it difficult for black people like me. When white people see me, they think they're talking to these black people here. So instead of talking to me about CapEx investments, infrastructure, real estate opportunities, they try talking to me about hair racism. You people are stupid. Focusing on my black hair does not lower my cost of living as a black person or any color person. Her whole tweet, she was trashing black legislators. But now you want to come on and say, oh, no, I was talking about Josh Shapiro spending some money on TikTok. No, baby, we know how to read. That's what you said. But I guess it was too much funk in the funk house, so Kathy signed off.
Roland, I'll say one more thing just very quickly. You know, what makes life difficult for black people like Kathy, for me, is not calling out racism, discrimination. It's the discrimination. And so what makes life difficult is that there are people who believe that who they are, the way their hair grows, the way that they live, the way that they look should be the standard, and anyone who deviates from that is somehow inferior or incapable of doing the things that people need to do in the job that they apply for as neighbors, as community members, as community leaders. So calling out discrimination is not the problem. Trying to end discrimination is not the problem. The discrimination is the problem. And it is unfortunate that there are far too many people, like Mrs. Barnes, who refuse to see that. But, as they say in the South, bless her heart.
And look, has she ever invited you on her show?
No, but I'd be happy to go. Kathy and I both ran for U.S. Senate at the same time.
Oh, Kathy!
I remember seeing.
Kathy, you back?
People talking about both of our hairs, by the way.
Oh, Kathy, you back? Kathy,
okay.
Now hold up. Did Kathy come back? Y'all logging her in? Okay. Because I would literally love, since Kathy cares so much about Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, and she's questioning all these things that black legislators are not talking about. And since Kathy mentioned infrastructure, Malcolm, I'm sure you've got some thoughts on what y'all have been doing about infrastructure in Pennsylvania. And so y'all let me know when we got Kathy back. So since you've never been on Kathy's show, well then Kathy can go ahead and ask you a question on my show, because, since we all here together. So since we're waiting on her, just go ahead. Well, what have y'all black folks been doing about infrastructure in Pennsylvania?
Well, one of the most important areas of infrastructure that we all know is transportation infrastructure. And we have been trying for a long time, and by a long time, I am talking about over 7 years, to get a bipartisan agreement that would invest in Pennsylvania's aging transit, not just SEPTA, which is in Philadelphia in the Southeast, but all across the Commonwealth. I actually walked 105 miles from my house in North Philly to the state capitol in Harrisburg to talk about this issue. And I had conversations during that walk on Facebook Live with people all across the Commonwealth, particularly people in our most rural communities who are bearing the brunt of our refusal to make sustained, significant, and long past due investments in our transit infrastructure. In fact, in Lancaster, just as one example, the transit agency there, because there was not a full bipartisan agreement. We passed the bipartisan agreement in the House, by the way, but it was not passed in the Senate. Lancaster is going to have to dramatically reduce some of their service, and some of their riders are going to feel the brunt of that in terms of their ability to get to their jobs, to spend time with their family members, to go to the doctor, and all the other things that transit gives people the opportunity to do. So transportation infrastructure is just one example, but we can also look at the roads and bridges, just under 3,000 of them across Pennsylvania, that are structurally in need of significant repair. And this House and Senate and Governor has been working to deal with some of those repair issues as well. And if you look in the budget that we just passed, there were significant dollars to continue to build up our roads and bridges and to deal with some of those that have been structurally unsound, as I just referenced. So this is not an either or.
Right.
And it's it's just one of those things where we keep making it either or, and it's not. We vote on a variety of different bills in a day, and so people cherry pick one thing and say, oh, this is all we're doing. No, we're doing a lot of stuff.
So apparently Kathy logged back in to listen, but we waited for her to turn the camera on. Because again, okay, so my producer's Carol's on the phone with her. Again, I would love, since she said, again, should she criticize black legislators, I would love for her to ask a black legislator in Pennsylvania who's sitting right here, since she cares about CapEx and infrastructure and real estate opportunities. You've never been on her show. So if she says y'all ain't doing it, here's the perfect opportunity to say, okay, Representative Kenyatta, are you working on this? So, Kathy, come on back. So I'll wait for you, but I'm going to go ahead and ask Malcolm another question. Matter of fact, Mustafa, you got a question for Malcolm while we waiting on Kathy?
Yeah, Mustafa, good to see you, brother.
Yeah, Malcolm, I was going to say it's wonderful to see you. Thank you for everything that you continue to do for our communities. You know, as we move toward 2026, which is not that far away now, what are some of the things that you would ask folks in the great state of Pennsylvania to actually focus on and highlighting, of course, you know, self, but other folks who are working on those issues?
Well, Mustafa, thank you, brother, and thank you for everything that you do. Let me say this simply, and I say this often, but the purpose of politics is to make people's lives better. You know, it is our imperfect, flawed in so many ways, system by which we negotiate how to live together. And I actually believe that we can get to a point where politics is just not a constant source of gastrointestinal discomfort, but actually we're moving the needle on some of the persistent challenges that we know have existed and continue to exist. And 2026 is going to be a conversation, and in fact, a referendum on an administration enabled by the weakest and most feckless members of Congress this country has ever seen, who has put him in a position where he has used the mechanics of government to make people's lives worse. The average cost of groceries for a family of four under this administration have gone up, not down. The cost for a tank of gas under this administration has gone up, not down. The applications for people opening small businesses under this administration has also gone down, not gone up. And so when we look at what is happening right now, the slide that we're seeing on all of the quality of life areas that people care about, the ability to feed their kids, to have a job that provides for them economically, to save a little bit and maybe be lucky enough to go on a vacation, those things are getting further out of reach. And so I say to folks, I'm not going to give Donald Trump and Republicans the credit that people often try to ask us to give. I'm not in politics because I'm thinking about him. When I got involved in politics, he was not a part of the equation, but he is in the way right now of us making people's lives better. And in fact, his administration spends every single day making people's lives miserable and worse. Right. While his family gets, a lot wealthier along the way.
So Kathy's back. So Kathy, I'm curious. Have you ever had Representative Kenyatta on your show?
I have not.
Okay, so guess what? You're here. He's here. What question do you have for Representative Kenyatta since you said these black legislators aren't doing this other stuff? What you got for him?
Yes. Representative Kenyatta, can you hear me?
Yep, he got you.
I can, Kathy.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, listen, first of all, it's nice to meet you, and I would absolutely love to have you on the show if you would like to come on. I would love that, to have a conversation. Again, my focus is not on nebulous issues, but on the 454th place of Philadelphia School District. Why? Instead of putting a big, beautiful spotlight on the failing reading and math proficiency scores of our Black children in Philadelphia School District, why are we not focused on that? Instead, focused on things such as a nebulous issue, such as the Crown Act.
Well, let me say this. First of all, I'm glad that you came back and happy to talk to you.
Well, I got booted off.
No young person. No. Okay, no, not a problem. But I'm happy you're here, nevertheless.
Okay.
But none of our young people and no person in Pennsylvania should have to be treated differently for the way that their hair grows out of their heads. If you agree with me on that simple proposition, then you will agree that what we did was the right thing. And we weren't passing the Crown Act in contrast or in spite of addressing the other issues that matter. We're dealing with these issues in tandem because we can walk and chew gum at the same time. As it relates to our young people, we need to be very clear. None of our kids are failures. And when we talk about the statistics that you talk about with reading, math, science, whichever statistics you want to use, with those reflect our kids. And we need to be all committed to doing everything we can to change outcomes for them. And that's what this caucus has been committed to do. Let me tell you what we have done. As was just mentioned, let me just finish.
Hold on. He's going to finish. I'm going to let you ask a follow-up. He's going to finish. I'm going to let you ask a follow-up. Malcolm, continue.
We mentioned this before. So I won't tarry on the point because we mentioned it before, but I don't know whether you heard it, Kathy, so I just want to highlight it. We have just, over the last 2 budgets, invested just under $1 billion into our kids just in Philadelphia school district alone. Why did we do that? Because for decades, Philadelphia schools were not adequately funded. That is my belief, but it's not just Malcolm Kenyatta's belief. The Commonwealth Court and actually a pretty conservative judge looked at this issue, looked at this case about school funding that was brought by parents in Philadelphia who were worried that their kids were not getting the same quality of education as other students across Pennsylvania. That case took years and years and years, and what the Commonwealth Court ultimately said was that Pennsylvania was not doing what we are required to do by our Constitution, which is to provide an equitable education, a thorough and efficient education. We weren't doing that. And so we are now doing what should have been done decades ago to invest in our schools, and we're going to continue to do that.
Yes, thank you. Let me ask you, because you mentioned something that I say quite often, that we need to learn how to walk and chew gum. But the reality is we're not walking and chewing gum at the exact same time. So, for example, in doing a compare and contrast of the Crown Act, it affected, if you're looking at the numbers, 916 people. There are 1.4 million Black people in the state of Pennsylvania. But we put a lot of energy and a lot of effort and a lot of time to pass a bill that's essentially a rounding error on the number of people that it impacts. And then we run around screaming, look, we did it. What did we actually do? And so, again, I would love to be able to walk and chew gum. Let's pass the Crown Act and let's do something for our children. But the reality is we're not focused on the things that actually make real improvements. So, for example, in Philadelphia, the largest district in the state, only about 1 in 5 kids are on grade level in math and about 1 in 3 in reading. And the district ranks 454th out of 499 on math proficiency. This is not something that just happened yesterday. This has been for the last 15 years, and it's only sliding backwards. It's not improving. So allow me to ask you, will you support school choice?
Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Children and their money and put their children in schools that will succeed.
Hold on one second. Before he answers that, because I believe in fact-checking. You talked about how we got to walk and chew gum at the same time. And you basically said by passing the Crown Act, we're not doing both. Well, I just pulled this up. And the question was, how many bills were passed in 2025 by the Pennsylvania legislature? No, because you said walk and chew gum. It says, hold on, wait. It says right here, budget measures, healthcare expansions, PTSD coverage, modernization of CPA exam rules, ongoing discussions around cannabis legalization, tax relief for homeowners, part of the new budget, key areas of focus, maternal health, first responders. It walks through a number of things. And so what I don't understand is when you act like there were no other bills passed this year but the Crown Act, when Representative Kenyatta is sitting right here. I think he can attest as a sitting lawmaker that they did a little bit more in 2025 beyond passing the Crown Act. Correct, Representative Kenyatta?
Roland.
Hold on one second. Hold on, Kathy. I want him to answer the question.
Are you going to answer my question?
No. Okay, Kathy.
No, Kathy, I hear you.
No, Kathy, I want to help you. First of all, Kathy, he's going to answer your question, but pump your brakes, because you're talking to the co-founder of School Choice is the Black Choice. So he going to answer your question, but he going to still address that they have been walking and chewing gum at the same time. Representative Kenyatta, go ahead.
So you're absolutely right. This is one bill and a whole host of legislation that we have been able to pass in a bipartisan way. And why do I keep saying that? It's not to say that we don't have serious disagreements across the aisle, as we usually say. But what this House leadership has been able to do under the leadership of Speaker Joanna McClinton is to find ways to get to yes and to find ways for us to advance a whole host of issues, the Crown Act being one of them. You said a number of things, many of which were actually not factually accurate. So I just want to push back on some of those, and I'm not sure where you're getting these numbers from. It's not correct. Let me just finish, because you're not sure what statistics I'm talking about yet. But let me give them to you. It is not correct to suggest that only 1 in 5 of our young people is proficient in. I'm not sure if you said reading or math. That's not correct. And actually, under Superintendent Watlington, we have actually seen some of the most pronounced improvements in terms of reading and math proficiency. And when you look at that data, you cannot have a conversation about reading and math proficiency without talking about the real impact that the COVID pandemic had in terms of learning loss for our young people. And we've seen marked improvement in our young people as it relates to reading proficiency, math proficiency, and I'm proud of those young people, and I'm proud of our educators, and I'm proud of the school district, which continues to work on these issues, because you're absolutely right. There is nothing, in my view, that's more important than giving all of our kids the opportunity to start their lives, to open that small business. I used to work at the Chamber of Commerce of Greater Philadelphia, where I supported small business owners every single day when I worked there prior to coming to the legislature. That's not really possible if you don't get a high quality education. So there is no debate or disagreement from us on ensuring that all of our kids get a high quality education. What I disagree on, the premise of your question, is this idea that us passing the Crown Act means that we have somehow forgotten about the need to invest in all of our kids and in all of our schools. I'm going to continue to do that. I've been a strong supporter of investing in our public schools. I'm going to continue to be a strong supporter of investing in our public schools. But I want to be clear, in the 181st District, we have parochial schools, we have public charters, we have traditional brick and mortar public schools, we have all of the different sort of educational choices that you referenced that a young person could want. And what I want to see is that every single place a young person is, that it has multiple things, that it has educators that give a damn about them, that it has caring adults who are taking care of them and caring about the whole child, and that we are ensuring that those educators have all the resources they need to prepare that young person for the job in the future that they deserve. And that's what we're going to keep focusing on. And I think that focus is reflected in the budget that I voted for and that we passed.
Kathy, before you respond again, I just want to show this fact here. So peredchoice.org in Pennsylvania, there are their educational improvement tax credit program. Go to my iPad. Opportunity scholarship tax credit program. They have public school choice, charter school choice, homeschool choice. So what are you saying that's missing that you want to have take place?
Yes. Thank you so much, Roland, and thank you also, Kenyatta. I appreciate you speaking or responding. But my question was, do you support school choice? School choice in that, and Kenyatta will understand exactly what I mean, that a child's tax dollars, that tax dollars travel with the child, allowing the parent who is in a particular zip code that is not faring well for their child, that parent has the ability to take those particular dollars and take their child to a school that is successful and that child can actually do well. And the numbers that I'm looking at, Kenyatta, comes from the latest PSSA. And as you know, it is tracking the performance of our children. And as of right now, in Philadelphia, 1 in 5 kids are on grade level in math and about 1 in 3 in reading. And again, the district ranks 454th out of 499.
Are those stats related to the public school district?
Yes.
Okay. 1 second. I got it. So please share with me, what are the charter school numbers?
I don't know.
Okay, so right there's a problem. Because
no,
see,
that's not
no, hold up. Let me, again, allow me, hold up, again. I don't think you know who you're talking to. I don't think you know who you're talking to.
Please inform me.
Because I have been in Philadelphia holding town halls on school choice.
And I live in Philly.
No, I'm trying to tell you, I've been in Philly. I've been in New York. I've been in Montgomery, in Birmingham, in Atlanta, Sacramento, Houston, Tulsa, across the country. Now, as somebody who's a supporter of school choice, I do not believe that school choice is the panacea. There are some fundamental issues that we have to confront in charter schools. We have to confront the issue of when you say, will the tax dollars follow, is the transportation there as well? That's one. The other issue for me is what charter school? Also, are those charter schools, what type of curriculum are they there? What is the oversight? Because part of the problem in Ohio charter schools, they have limited oversight. In Texas, you got finite years to improve or your school gets shut down. So when we say these are the reading rates of the public school system, I still want to know what are the reading rates of the charter school, because I know some trash-ass charter school. And let me be real clear. Let me be real clear. I'm going to let you talk. Let me be real clear. If their public schools ain't doing their job, then change it. If their charter schools ain't doing their job, they got to go. If you got parochial schools ain't doing their job, they got to go. But what I'm not going to do is create this impression that charters are the be-all to end-all when I know for a fact we got some raggedy-ass charters. Now you can talk.
Right. And I never said charter, Roland. That was something, like, that was the straw man.
No. You said school choice. Okay, I want you to define school choice. Give me what's under your banner of school choice.
Homeschool. I homeschooled both of my.
Okay, got it. Homeschool. What else?
As well as private schools, Catholic schools. There are a number of opportunities.
Okay, so here's the question. Hold on, Carol. Oh, I got to ask you a question. So you want public dollars. If a person want to put their person in private school, here's my question. Are the private schools, are they creating additional seats?
Yes, because it's called capitalism. But here's the
No, they're not. Oh, no, they're not.
The overwhelming majority.
No, you're wrong.
The overwhelming majority of black students who are in the Philadelphia school district, they are trapped in that school district. And as someone who grew up on a pig farm in southern Alabama, below the bottom rung of the economic ladder, I grew up in a home with no insulation.
Kathy, I get all that.
An outhouse and a well on the side. I understand that the thing that allowed me to create a different life for myself is education.
Kathy, let me ask you a question. Kathy, I'm going to ask you a basic question.
Oh my God.
Kathy, I'm going to ask you a basic, hold up. Kathy, I want data. No, Kathy, I want data. How many private schools are there in Philadelphia? No, Kathy, I'm going to ask you a basic question. How many private schools are there in Philadelphia?
Representative Kenyatta, how many private
No. I'm asking you, Kathy. How many private schools are... Kathy, if this your issue, I'm asking you.
What you 1 moment, Roland, you asked me to come on talking about why I feel the way about the Crown Act.
So if you believe... No, wait a minute. Hold up, Kathy. Now, you brought up the Crown Act, but then you want to bring up school education in Philly. So how you don't know these facts?
9 problems. And hair racism isn't one.
Hey, Kathy, this is real basic. Kathy, this is real basic. If you were trying to tell Representative Kenyatta you support school choice and you want money to go to private schools, I'm asking you, Kathy, I'm asking you, one, how many private schools are in Philadelphia? 2, I want to know, hold up, Kathy. 2, I want to know how many available seats are in the private schools. The reason I'm asking you that, because when they were talking about school choice in Texas, you know what they said? We could send our kids to private schools. In the entire state of Texas, there were 30,000 private seats.
So what is
how many kids in the whole state of Texas go to public schools?
Ridden neighborhood.
No.
I mean, instead of focusing on nebulous issues that only impact
Here you go again.
People.
Here you go again.
That's the reason why you brought me on. Is
to
understand.
But see, no. You chose to bring up Philly schools, so I am now talking on your topic.
Yes, I love it. I can talk about
Representative Kenyatta, I'm going to say, Representative Kenyatta, here's the fundamental problem right here. And again, this is somebody who supports school choice. When people who say they support school choice don't want to look at the data, when they want to say, go to private, no, hold up, Kathy, I ain't done. Representative Kenyatta, when they say, go to private schools, well, I ask some simple questions. How many schools exist? How many seats exist? So, Representative Kenyatta, how many kids in Philadelphia public schools?
So let me say this big picture, because a lot has just been said. I want to reiterate what I said in a previous response. I have private schools in my district. I have traditional public schools in my district. We have public charters in my district. I understand, and I hope is a value that's shared by everybody in this conversation, that any school, even if it is homeschool, that a young person is a place that should be safe, is a place that should be well-resourced, and is a place where we need to be preparing our kids to go out and live their lives. A part of the numbers that, constantly get thrown around about the Philadelphia school district are a direct reflection of our refusal to invest in those schools with the same basic measure of funding that we had across the Commonwealth and other school districts. Again, this is not Malcolm's opinion, though it is. This is empirical. It's fact-based. It went through a nearly decade court case that highlighted what that has meant in terms of the lack of ability for our educators to have the resources that they need. In terms of that the lack of funding, resulting in classrooms where you have, 40, 50 kids, in a classroom. I agree with something you said, Roland, this idea that if we defund all of the public schools, which I guess is the end result of this, of what's being said here, that somehow our kids, inherently end up, better, is not backed up by the data. There are charter schools where young people are not performing where we want them to perform. There are public schools where they're not performing where we want to perform. And there are kids who are being homeschooled by parents who do not have the technical expertise to even help them with their homework, let alone be the only person teaching them. And they need support. And so there are a variety of different educational institutions. Our budget invested in education across Pennsylvania. And you know what? We invested in young people across Pennsylvania, and we also passed the Crown Act. I was happy to vote for both.
Well, Malcolm, here's why I asked the question. Hold on, Kathy. I got about to say this, and then you can respond, and then this is going to be the last round because I got some other stuff. This is why I asked the question. Now, this is 2022 data, but I just want everybody to understand why. There are 2,941 public schools in Pennsylvania. There are 2,156 private schools in Pennsylvania. But here is the critical number. Pennsylvania's private schools only educate 11.5% of the students in the whole state. Now again, 2,941 public schools, 2,156 private schools. So one of the reasons the private schools have been successful because they have smaller classrooms, different focus. The point that I am making, Kathy, as a school choice supporter, there are not enough seats, and they are not going to open more seats because they want to remain small and inclusive and exclusive. So when we're talking about this notion here, what we have to recognize is that this idea, and you're talking to somebody who is for 8 years has hosted the Friendship Public Charter School Teacher of the Year program in D.C. So I know this whole thing. The problem when we talk about school choice, school choice, you have to also look at the data to say how many high-performing charter schools exist, how many mid-performing charter schools exist, and how many low-performing charter schools exist. And so I know this deal. It's not this notion that they're just so great and wonderful. There are some trash-ass charter schools, period, point blank. And I want them out of business. So we have to have a education system that is balanced. We're going to have public, we're going to have private, we're going to have home, we're going to have parochial, we're going to have all of that. But this notion that school choice is the savior, it's not factual. Kathy, make your final comment. Yes. Representative Kenyatta, make the final comment, and then I'm going to a break.
Roland, thank you so much. Listen, bravo to the both of you, because you have just proved my point. We have very real, large, systemic issues that we need to be putting all of our attention on. There's only so much time, so much breath, so much attention span. And bravo to the both of you for making my point. We have very real issues that impact more than 1,000 people.
And we can do a lot. We can do it all at the same time, Kathy.
For the opportunity.
Kathy, we can do it all at the same time.
We could do proving my point.
But we can do it. Kathy, your point wasn't proven because Representative Kenyatta literally laid out a litany of things that they've done.
That needs to be.
And they did all that stuff and the Crown Act. Representative Kenyatta, final comment.
And yet our children.
Representative Kenyatta, final comment.
Well, I'll tell you this, when we vote on the House floor, we press a little button that says yes or no. It took me less than a second to press yes for the Crown Act because I believe fundamentally that no person should be treated differently because of how their hair grows out of their heads. As it relates to education, I think every single one of our kids deserves a high quality education. We need to be investing in our public schools, which we have for decades disinvested in, which have led to those exploding class sizes, educators who don't have the resources and supports that they need, and parents who are on their last leg. This Democratic majority in the House has done that. We've invested in our schools. We've taken on the issues of discrimination. We've put money back in the pockets of Pennsylvanians, and we've done it in many instances in a bipartisan way, including getting bipartisan support for the Crown Act and bipartisan support for the budget. I was happy to vote for both, and I look forward to continuing that work for the 181st District and across Pennsylvania, frankly.
Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, Kathy Burnett, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Win Cooney, I want to go to you. Win Cooney, the point is very simple. We can do more than one thing at one time.
Yeah, we absolutely can, and we have to. I think this was a really energetic and lively debate. But the fact of the matter is that I would never want to be persecuted or prosecuted for the way that I look, the way that my hair looks. And I think that that's Black people's hope all throughout the United States of America. And I know that, State Senator Kenyatta would agree with that. And so while they keep on doing the great work that they're doing in Pennsylvania, we have to be very, very careful of Black people who cause division amongst other Black people. I think it's okay for Black people to think differently as we're not a monolith. But I think what's not okay is saying that one particular mindset or view is dumb just because you don't agree with it. Whether the bill took a minute or, 3 years to pass, I think it's fundamental that students that were being discriminated against and people that are being discriminated against based on their appearance, that's something that has to be quashed out unequivocally. So I think that the Crown Act being passed is something that's amazing, particularly in this time where DEI is being rolled back. We're seeing civil rights being rolled back all throughout the United States of America. This is a win for Pennsylvania and a win for the United States.
And last point here, Mustafa, this reminds me when people say, why are you talking about this on social media? We got more important topics. Hell, I could make 6, 8, 10 posts in a day. So this idea, whenever I hear somebody say, we got more important things to focus on, what that says is you don't want to deal with this one.
Being multi-talented people means that we can do a number of things. But as Black folks, we also understand that there are certain dynamics that we have to deal with that we often have to bring forward and have to address. And the Crown Act you know, is one of those moments when we get to actually address some injustices that have held us back in various ways. So, you know, maybe one of these days, Black folks will learn to come together. We'll learn that we can, you know, when we're stronger, when we all, you know, kind of join hands and focus on the things that have held us back. And I appreciate Malcolm for the way that he articulates a message, the way that he unpacks it, and the way that he gets things done, and all those others who helped pass the Crown Act, because the Crown Act didn't exist when I was coming up, and when folks were telling me that I would never make it to the top if I didn't cut my locks off. So I would never want another young brother or sister to ever have to deal with that, nor should they.
Absolutely. And again, I told y'all, we deal in facts here. So when you say something that ain't factual, you're going to have to deal with it. Short break. We come back. Headlines. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Godfrey, the funniest dude on the planet. And you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, here's Brittany Noble with headlines.
Well, Roland, in Virginia, families and the NAACP are in court opposing the reinstatement of Confederate names on 2 public schools. The lawsuit challenges the Shenandoah County School Board's 2024 decision to restore the names of Stonewall Jackson High School and Ashby Lee Elementary School. Plaintiffs say the move creates a discriminatory environment for Black students and violates their First and 14th Amendment rights. They will present evidence and testimony showing how the names impact students' learning environment and sense of safety. Well, 12 former FBI agents who were fired after kneeling during the 2020 protests in Washington are now suing to get their jobs back. They say their decision to take a knee on June 4th, days after the murder of George Floyd, has been wrongly treated as a political expression. According to the lawsuit, the agents were outnumbered, lacked proper protective gear, and knelt to diffuse rising tension. Beyond reinstatement, the lawsuit seeks a ruling that their firings were unconstitutional, along with back pay, monetary damages, and the removal of all termination records from their files. And Harvard University is facing a new federal complaint over a scholarship program limited to students of color. The Equal Protection Project alleges the Union Scholars Summer Program, which offers stipends and need-based assistance, is explicitly race-restricted and violates Title VI, which bars federally funded institutions from discriminating based on race. Organizers describe the program as an internship for students of color committed to social justice and workers' rights. Applications for the next cycle are open through February of next year. The complaint comes as the convict-in-chief continues threatening to cut off billions in federal research funding unless Harvard dismantles its DEI and race-based programs. We'll have more for you on Roland Martin Unfiltered after this break.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? Remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion, and higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change only on the Black Star Network.
Michael McMillan, President and CEO of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, it's sad news. One of our HBCUs, one student is dead. Another person is in critical condition at Kentucky State University. This here is according to WLWT-TV. It says that the Franklin Police Department got a call around 3:35 p.m. regarding, quote, an active aggressor. A suspect was taken into custody around 3:40 p.m. One student died from the shooting. Another student has been hospitalized in critical condition but is stable. The suspect who was taken into custody is not a student at the university. No one knows exactly what went on here. The governor, Andy Beshear, said, quote, violence has no place in our Commonwealth or country. Let's please pray for the families affected and for our KSU students. Kentucky State University was placed on lockdown while the investigation continues. And so, again, a deadly shooting on the campus of Kentucky State University this afternoon. One student dead, one student in critical condition. The shooter has been apprehended. And so certainly sad news right there. Folks, let's also, I got to talk about this story right here. And first of all, it's a whole lot that's going on and just a lot of crazy stuff that's happening. Let's talk about California. Another case of working while black. A San Francisco environment worker. Y'all, this is a city worker. Said, but he was just doing his job, walking in a trailer park, when this white racist followed him as he was walking in the truck and called him a criminal. Check this out. Hey.
Dude, there's been burglaries in here, and you're making people paranoid. Get the fuck out of here.
Wow.
Okay?
That's nice to know,
Get
man.
the fuck out.
Wow. This man trying to say I caused burglaries. Wow.
Where's your partners? Where's your partners?
So what?
Don't come close to me. Where's your partners?
Are you trying to hit me?
Motherfucker.
You trying to assault me, sir? Oh, he finna run me over. That boy not playing, though. Chill, bro. I'm trying to leave. Can I go, bro? You gonna run me over, gang? He trying to run me over, folks. Let me get up out of here, man. Don't run me over, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Another guy from coming off the property, leaving the property.
Bro, this is comedy to me, folks. I ain't gonna lie. I'm trying to get up out of here, folks. They got 2 trucks following me. They ready to lynch me.
Get out. All your partners get out of here.
The worker has not been identified, but his harasser has been identified as 52-year-old Mark Harlan Thompson. San Francisco police confirmed they've opened an investigation and are looking into whether Thompson's actions were racially motivated. Yeah. All right, check this out. Now, y'all know what FAFO means. I don't know when these people gonna learn. All right? So this unidentified white woman, she found out the hard way. When a black woman warns you, she gonna knock your ass out, believe her.
Hey, bitch, y'all fuck y'all kids, bitch. Don't ever tell my motherfucking mama to fuck me. You stupid racist white bitch. You go to a black motherfucker. Yes.
Yeah, you're racist.
You a racist bitch.
So are you.
You a racist ass bitch.
So are you.
So are you. I'm stepping away. If you come any close, I'ma dog you.
Dog that bitch.
No!
She pushed me.
Yeah. Get out. Bitch, I told you. Bitch, I told you.
Oh, get your ass up. You ain't never
with you. Y'all seen me bag up, and you came. Yeah.
You touched him. Sorry.
Don't get pucking.
No, bag down.
Yeah. And I could get on you right now and dog your ass, but I ain't gonna do it. I told you don't walk up to me.
Get that ass up. Get your ass up. Come help your friend get her ass up.
Go in there and get my pink mouth, baby girl.
Bitch, dumb games, you win dumb prizes. Dumb bitch. Tired of you fucking with us.
Yeah.
Keep fucking with us. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Fuck happened.
Yeah.
Get your ass up.
Yeah.
Talk all that shit. Get your ass shit wrong with you.
Bitch, I told you, stop fucking with us.
Did you even make contact with her? She probably just fell back. She fell back on her own goddamn
Yeah.
Ain't nobody say shit to that. Anybody hit that bitch.
I got it on motherfucking video. Bitch, I bagged up. I said, do not walk any more closer into my space.
Come and help us, because we can't touch her. She fell back on her own shit, bitch. Get up. Get out of your shit.
White bitch, you a racist.
Hey. Oh my God, I told you people crazy. Okay, white woman in Wisconsin cusses out, shouts the N-word. Her name is Crystal Wilsey, hollering, I'm a racist. This happened right here. Y'all seen it all on social media. Turn the iPad up. And so she acted a fool, shooting him the finger. Come on, go to my iPad.
You want me to throw water on you? I am racist.
So idiot, for
and
real.
You are an
idiot. No,
I
I'm
am
not.
racist, and I'll say that to the whole entire world. Don't be disrespectful.
You ruined your life, by the way. Oh, you're talking about respect? You're talking about respect? You are fired from this place, man. You're not gonna be working here. Sakwa. Look how you talking about ugliness?
Did I stutter?
You're the ugliest person I ever seen in my life.
Good.
No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not.
Because you know damn well you're a
That's
fucking
respect.
So let me explain to y'all what happened. The racists, so they started to GoFundMe. The racists have raised $110,000 for her. Oh, but by the way, this is the same Crystal Wilsey who was charged with endangering a child 3 times. Then she said that she had a colored child, so folks assumed the child was black. No, the child had a skin condition that darkened their skin. But it's amazing to listen to all of these racists who defend her. I'm just going to play a little bit of this. Listen to this white man with his 5-minute video saying that, we just tired of y'all hitting us with white guilt.
I'm talking about white people just being totally, I'm done. I'm saying what's on my mind. White people in this country have been pressured and guilted and lied about to an extreme that is best seen on a Cinnabon video. We'll get to that in a second. But think about how many times you've heard that as a white person, you are privileged. You have white privilege, and that you're a racist, and that you're a nationalist, and that you're a Nazi. You can only take that language so many times until you sit and say, I'm going to fight back. There's only so many times you could be punched in the face until you put up a defense, and that defense is a hard offense. Let me take you to the Cinnabon video in case you haven't
Okay. I want to let you know you're going to end up that white woman got knocked out on that damn street. What's crazy when Cooney, these folks, they don't call me a racist. Don't act like one. Don't call me a white supremacist. Don't act like one. Don't call me a Nazi. Don't vote for one.
I mean, Roland, what you just showed in these 3 videos has shown that obviously America has a racial problem, right? We're seeing extremely racially charged behavior. But what infuriated me about the first video, which was the video out in California, is that young man was wearing identification, right? He was wearing his name badge. He was wearing his city uniform. So there was no reason for him to be accosted by that man in the pickup truck. And I think it actually proves a salient point to what we were talking about earlier, right, Roland? This is why things like the Crown Act are important. One of the reasons why that young man was profiled was because he had locks, right? And anybody that with eyes can see that. And so it's extremely frustrating when people get online and say, we don't need things like the Crown Act. Black and brown people are being discriminated against every single day because of how they look. And that video exemplifies that. So that's extremely, extremely frustrating. The second video, I'm still in tears about. It's actually just, she's still sleeping right now, I'm sure of it. But, like you said, FAFO. And, we have to continue to be vigilant, but it is extremely scary. It shows you the tide of America that, people are raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to support people who are openly proclaiming their bigotry. It's really, really scary times we're in, Roland.
Well, the thing here is that black folk are just trying to do their job. And the thing is, we have seen black FedEx workers, black UPS workers. So it don't matter you even have a uniform. You could be driving the FedEx truck. We had some robberies. You're going to get out of our neighborhood. That's how these fools are. Ahmaud Arbery is dead because 3 white men accused him of robbery when he was jogging. This is the reality of being black in America, Mustafa.
Yeah, that last point is so incredibly important because racism is deadly in many instances for our community. You can be jogging, going into an abandoned house that other people have went in, or, I can't remember exactly how the house was set up, but he wasn't the first one who went in there and then ended up dead because folks felt that they had the right to be able to do that. So we have to understand, how serious this is, how deadly serious these situations can get into. I'm a man who believes in peace when you can, but, Malcolm said, if you put your hands on me, then I'm going to make sure that you'll never put them on anybody else. And folks need to understand when you want to talk about the stressors that are associated with dealing with the many of the situations that we have to deal with, then, of course, unfortunately, sometimes there are situations where you have to change those dynamics as rapidly as possible. For that last video that the man was talking about, white folks being tired, who could possibly be more tired than our folks of all the injustices, of the structural inequalities, of the laws that were put in place to allow us to be brutalized, that allowed folks to be able to take our land, to allow folks to be able to do whatever they wanted with the women who were in our lives and a number of other things. So when you bring forward now, because somebody has said something that you now have to push back, if that was the case, then, we would have done that a long, long time ago, but yet we still found grace and found ways of being able to address these issues. So I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for individuals who, because somebody said something now, you decide that now you have to fight back and push back when you are the ones who actually put in place the injustices that have caused this situation. America has to figure out if it wants to address the issue in a real way and do the real work. And until it does, we are going to continue to have these problems.
And this is why I wrote my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. And they are truly losing their minds. Time for Marketplace. Roll it. All right, folks, y'all know America is all about whiteness. When little black kids go to stores and they see dolls don't look like them, they say, what's up? Well, many black children express their wishes for dolls with the same skin tone or curly hair. Mother-daughter duo Ivana and Zoe Ali created beautiful curly me dolls, books, and other merchandise to inspire confidence in our youth. Zoe joins us now from Atlanta. Hey, Zoe.
Hi.
All right, what kicked this off? What started this?
Well, it really all started when I was 6 years old. As you mentioned, I had confidence issues and I did not like my hair. So one day I came home from school and I asked my mom why my hair wasn't straight or pretty like my classmates. And that led to her getting me a black doll, but I noticed the doll also had straight hair and I wanted dolls with curls and braids. So when I went back to the stores and could not find any, I decided I wanted to make my own, and Beautiful Curly Me was born.
Oh, cool. So, take us through. I got 3 of the dolls right here. Got 3 of the dolls right here. And you're right. When you see these dolls, they got long, silky hair, and you like, nah, I need to see a fro. I need to see some curls.
Yes, exactly. That's Bella you're holding. You can wash and style her hair. And it was so important to me to make dolls that reflect not only me, but the world around us.
Absolutely here. So what we got here? So what's this one called?
That's Bella.
Bella?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool. Now we got, let's see here. Who we got here? We got Black Doc.
We have Vinta. Yes, she is a young scientist, mathematician, and she's all about helping young girls to explore their passions.
Okay, all right then, and see, let's see here. And this is the Madam VP doll?
Yes, it is based off of VP Kamala Harris to help young girls know that we can be and do anything, including the next vice president.
And this on the back, this is a selfie you took with the vice president.
Yes, I got to meet her earlier this year. It was amazing. So we made the doll inspired after her.
Gotcha. Now, have you sent her one of these dolls?
Yes, we have.
Okay. Now, when did y'all start the company? So how long have y'all been producing dolls?
I started my company when I was 7 and I'm 13 now. So it's going on 6 years now. And we're really all about inspiring confidence in young girls through the dolls that you see there and books and empowering puzzles.
All right. So y'all have the dolls. What else do y'all have?
We have books that I've written, like Beautiful Curly Me here, and other journals. I have empowering puzzles, and we have a girls club, a girls leadership club, and for every doll that is bought on my website or in stores, we give one to a young girl in need in an underserved community.
All right, cool. Questions from my panel. Win Cooney, you first.
I'm super inspired by the work you're doing. It's so exciting to see a young Black woman following her dreams. What's the most exciting thing you have coming up with the sale of the dolls this year in the year 2026? We're seeing so many different people run for office, like Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Any plans to expand what we see with the vice presidential line into other political figures?
Yes, definitely. The Madam VP doll is the first of our Inspire Her collection. So we're working on making sure that young girls are represented in every single area in politics and just making sure we are getting that representation. So definitely. And thank you.
Mustafa.
Well, you've done so many amazing things at such a young age. What's the future look like for you? And what would you like to be able to, what's the next big mountain you want to climb?
Yeah, so right now for the business, we are working on expanding our product line to more toys, as well as I'm launching a confidence course, and we are working on a TV animated series in the works by the grace of God. And for me personally, I speak, so I gave a TEDx talk when I was 10 years old. I'm the youngest Black person to do that. So I'm continuing to speaking and just spreading my message of confidence to girls all over the world.
All right. And so any new dolls coming up? Anything, what are you working on next?
Yes, we have some new dolls coming up, some that are into art, creatives, engineers, so definitely a lot of new products to look out for.
Okay. And when you're coming up with these new ideas, where are you gaining inspiration from?
I really gain inspiration from the world around me, so the people I see. When I was younger, I really wanted to create a doll that had hair like mine, that had hair like other girls I know, just to make sure we were representing how the wide variety and the diversity and the beauty of our people.
Oh, that's cool. And so, now see what I really love about this doll here. Go to my eye. See when I do this here. This is me with one of my nieces. Come on, I'm jacking with my niece Rachel right here. So yeah. So this is what I'm always doing to her little blonde head. So yes.
Yes, and it feels the same, doesn't it? Just
yes.
like our hair.
Actually, this one feel better than Rachel's hair. I think this was just washed. I think Rachel needs a wash.
Yeah, you can wash and style her hair. So.
All right, folks, if y'all want to check out Zoe's dolls, Beautiful Curly Me, I want y'all to go right now, shopblackstarnetwork.com. Y'all need to buy everything out. Christmas is coming up. This is fantastic, and it really is cool. And this is not some little dainty ass doll. This is a big ass girl. I mean, this child almost is big. So my niece just had a baby. This doll bigger than that baby. And so y'all see how tall this doll is. And so we got, come on, zoom it out. And so we got Benta. Who is the scientist. We got Benta right here. And then we've got the doll inspired Madam VP. And again, what's her name?
Bella, and she is 18 inches.
So we got Bella. Bella's 18 inches. You gonna have any male dolls?
Not yet, but we can.
I think you need a Roro doll. I think you, that's what you need.
We should talk about that.
I think you need a Roro doll. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. All right, y'all, I want you to go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Buy everything up. All these dolls are available. Also, the books, all that stuff is available right now. ShopBlackStarNetwork.com. ShopBlackStarNetwork.com. We've got all of these. These are black-owned products. You can check out Zoe's dolls. All of these products that you see right over to my left. We got other dolls. We got Christmas decorations, skin care products, car wash stuff. We got journals, crossword puzzles. We got, nurse, what's up nurses wear? I forgot they wear. Yeah, I call them smocks. Scrubs. We got all this sort of stuff. All of these black-owned products are available at shopblackstarnetwork.com. So Zoe, congratulations. 6 years in business. I love hearing these entrepreneur stories. Great job. Tell your mom and your family hello.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Let me thank Win Cooney. Let me thank Mustafa. Scott, he got that Cricket Wi-Fi, so we couldn't get his computer working. So see what happens. Cappers, they stuff don't work. So we're going to sit here and work on that stuff. Again, let me thank y'all for being here. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Folks, that is it for us right here on today's edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. If y'all want to support what we do, we've had more than 36,000 people who've donated to our show since we launched September 4th, 2018. We center black people. We make us the star of our own movie. And so, listen, there's not a lot of news information shows out there. It's just not. So when you support us, you're supporting this show. So you want to contribute via Cash App. They got rid of our individual accounts. Use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here in the bottom left-hand corner. If you want the link, go to blackstarnetwork.com. Also, the Stripe QR code is also used for credit cards. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Checks and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Also, you can, if you want to download the Black Star Network app, go to Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. So you do that. If you want to, of course, get my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. You can also get that, and you can, of course, get the audible version that I read as well. So check that out and get that. And then if you want to, of course, get our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag, please do so by going to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Shopblackstarnetwork.com. Y'all can get the swag, and y'all can check all of that out. So be sure to get the swag. If you also want to, again, these products, these are all black-owned companies, y'all. People doing some amazing work. Let's support our black-owned companies. They are hiring our people. They are investing in our community. They're doing these things. So when you go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, all these products you see are black-owned products. And so please support. Please do so. You also, if you want to support fan base, first, I want you to download the app. Download the app. Only 9 days left if you want to become an investor. For more, I'm an investor. I invested a long time ago. More information, go to startengine.com/fanbase. Startengine.com/fanbase. Check it out if you want to do that. And I'm telling you, these dogs are pretty cool, y'all. So this really does feel like when I'm jacking with my nieces, playing with their hair. So I'm always messing with them. Remember, I got 9 nieces, 4 nephews. So I'm always jacking with them. And so I was home for Christmas. And so, you know what's so funny when you home for Christmas? How some family members are just so doggone different. So I have my niece. So my niece, Chloe. Chloe just finished law school, y'all. And let me tell you something about these folk, these nieces. So I'm a firm believer. You know, way these kids are. They want to start acting funny when they start getting their own money. And so we were home for Thanksgiving, and why is it not showing? Oh, I may have to play it for y'all tomorrow. Anyway, they were sitting here. They decided to take some shots. And Chloe was so cheap, she ain't bringing enough alcohol for everybody else. Now, y'all know I don't drink at all. So I had to call her out. I said, how you going to try to slide in here? I said, with barely any alcohol, so they little small, little plastic cups. So I had to bust her out. So I'm going to show y'all the video tomorrow when I had to bust out my niece, Chloe. For not caring and sharing. She wasn't trying to share no tequila with my uncle, my dad, and everybody else. So, yeah, Chloe, I'm going to call you out tomorrow. You done graduated law school, and you're making your own money. Now we ain't got to buy y'all. Y'all, I got a simple rule. When you out of school and done, no more support. You got to start buying your own stuff. So my niece, Atlantis, just had a baby. All right, I'll give you a reprieve. But Chloe, Faith, Trey, Solomon, hey, y'all got to start cutting your own checks. Y'all got to start paying for stuff around the house. All right, I got to go. I'll see y'all tomorrow.